Hello everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video, and again I'm just playing with Dina's new release. I decided I would grab one of the art cards from a previous release just to use as a bit of a colour inspiration and just to kind of get me in the groove. So again I'm playing in the new ledger journal. I do love it, it's really nice, and I'm going to be doing my kind of rainbow swoosh across my page. So you can see I've laid out all the colours, and I'm using one of Dina's 2-inch brushes. She did recently say in one of her supporter broadcasts, if you haven't got one of these brushes, I don't really know what are you playing at. They are just brilliant. So you can see I'm wetting the paper. I want the paint to kind of travel. I wanted to see if I could create like a kind of watery watercolour effect. I want to be able to see that ledger element underneath, and I'm just pulling that paint across the page. I've not really got like a starting point with this, just to get some colour on there. And of course, because on that art card you can see those paints look like they were watery, so I'm kind of using that as my guide here. Then I've got some little bits where there's lots and lots of paint, so I'm just going to pull that out a bit using a different brush, just to help it kind of create that washi effect. And then here you can see there wasn't a great deal of red there, so I'm just going to pop a bit in because I've got some left over. So I didn't waste what was left on my desk. I did go into another page in the journal and just add a bit more on there just to finish off the paint that was left over, so it wasn't wasted. And I'm just faffing now. You can see it's like, right, Claire, stop already. Put the brush down and stop. Okay, so I have. This is the new stencil called Rattan Coaster. It's similar to a previous one, but it's got slightly bigger spaces on the stencil. In fact, I did have a moment the other day. I shared a reel that I'd created, and I used the old stencil, and as I was looking at it on Instagram I was like, oh my goodness, I hope I've not used the new stencil, but I haven't, so it was okay. Just a bit of a moment. I've got some white paint left over, so just using it up, and what that does is it's just pushing some of those colours into the background a little bit. Now I thought these heads were quite funky, kind of, is it Greek? I don't know. Anyway, like a sort of statue style. So I thought I'm going to use the heads and create some paper doll style figures to go on this page. So the heads came from the new collage pack, which is called Antiquities. It's got all sorts of lovely images in there, lots of those kind of moon faces and different kind of, just, yeah, like antique style statue heads. Brilliant. There's so much you can do with them, and of course you don't have to use it for background imagery. You can use them as your focal point. So here I'm just popping some white paint down, and I'm using the white paint to stick the collage paper down, rather than getting the gel medium out. I'm going to use the white paint to do two jobs. So the first job it's doing is just calming down the background that would show through, and it's also meaning that that paper is going to stick. So I'm going to kind of group these three together. They are going to be quirky, but you know, that's all right. Art journaling, yeah, it should be about fun, shouldn't it? And then you can see I'm just using my finger to just kind of, I know smoosh is one of my favourite words, but I'm just moving that paint around, thinning it out around the edges, just so that there aren't any kind of harsh straight lines where my paint is. And then those get a quick dry and they're stuck in place. So then I just thought, before it was completely dry, I would go in with a baby wipe and the stencil that I've used already, and just do a bit of reductive stenciling and just try and lift some of that paint off. And that really does soften those lines. Okay, so those of you that get really scared when I get the black paint or black gesso out, just like take a deep breath right now, and maybe sit down. Here we go with some black. I'm going in with black because it's a really great, oh my goodness, a great contrast with everything else that's going on my page. And I'm just going to create like figure shapes. I'm not going for bodies. I'm not going to do a body with arms and legs. These are just like paper doll style figures. And yes, the black, it's quite busy at the minute, isn't it? It's quite stark, but I like that. I like creating those bold contrasts on my journal pages. Okay, so now I want to bring these faces forward because they are kind of fading into the background. That black is so bold that it's taking over. So by getting a Stabilo oil pencil and drawing over the faces, not only am I kind of practicing my face placement understanding, but also just pulling those forward. Can you see how that makes that stand out a little bit more? I didn't go in and water activate the Stabilo oil. So I mean, I could have done this with a Posca pen or a gel pen if I want to, but I like the softness, the way that the Stabilo oil pencil looks when you draw with it, especially when you water activate it. It does create lovely soft lines. But yeah, this is purely for the effect of pulling those faces back into the foreground. Little pink cheeks have to happen. I reckon I must have caught this off Dina. I don't know. I do generally give my figures pink cheeks. I know it's something lots of people do. And, you know, that isn't something that I would claim is my idea ever. But it's cute and I like it. So I've just grabbed a white scribble stick. I just wanted to see how it would behave on the black paint. I mean, it's okay. I'm going to go in with a bit of journaling. So Dina often does this. And hers always looks amazing. My scribble stick wasn't behaving brilliantly well. Maybe if I'd used the gesso, it would have had more tooth. It would have drawn on there a bit more easily. But I still like the effect that that gives. So it's a little bit of journaling, some thoughts onto the page. So I always really like to add text onto my journal pages in one way or another. Now, obviously there's text on the background because of the ledger pages, but I like to get text stencils out as well. As you know, one of my favourites is the mantra stencil. That isn't in production anymore. I don't even think you can get it. So I'm trying to use stencils now that sometimes that you are still able to get your hands on, because I know that's really frustrating when you see someone create with something that you can no longer get. But there are loads and loads of brands selling stencils with text in. So don't be disheartened. If I do use the mantra text stencil, there are lots out there that work just in the same way. I'm adding some white dots, of course, that's got to happen. Adding those dots at the bottom just helps to calm down the boldness of those figures a little bit too. A little bit of text stamping as well. My favourite stamp. My art journal lovers have told me that this stamp set, it's got a typewriter words, it's got numbers. I think there's another one as well. You can still get hold of it from Stampers Anonymous. It is still available and I have had it a very long time. I'm going to use one of Dina's ledger quotes to just add some more words onto there. And I'm going to stick it in with Dina's brand new glue. The glue that Dina's released is called Media Glue. It's a matte liquid glue and it works really well for sticking all of Dina's products down, from the collage tissue, the collage sparks, transparencies. It'll do everything and it's got quite a quick drying time as well. So it's perfect. And I love the fact that, you know, it's handy, hand-sized as well. So I think I'll be stocking up on those definitely. Next, I'm just adding some splatters using the Stoked Gloss spray and my tiny fan brush. My art journal lovers laugh at these, but you know, I love it cut down because it means I can have a little bit more control. Not always, but sometimes. A little close up there of what those splatters look like. They're really nice, popping against the black of the body. So another page in the new art journal. You've got such a lovely amount of space in there, and of course you can cut the pages down, you can alter them. But yeah, it's going to be a favourite. I think you're all going to love this journal. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.